Now that we have some insight into the concept of experiential space, we may consider interaction among the experiential space continua of a highly unique group of individuals. In general, the study of the varying dimensions of human experience in the context of man and his society is known as human social cybernetics. In our experiment, 8 Category A subjects underwent pattern brain surgery, whose program was developed within the Academy's organic computer dialectic system. The object of surgery was to extend by a process called biochemical induction the natural electrochemical network of the human brain. This extension would provide each subject with telepathic capabilities. A telepathist is one who can communicate with other minds by means which do not involve perception by the senses. Thus, telepathy is a form of extrasensory perception, or ESP. Consider the specific configuration of the Category A subject. Category A is a classification which finds its meaning within the scientific metaphysics of the aphrodisiacs and theorist Luther Stringfellow. It is not what is usually considered an objective classification based, for example, upon physical or psychological characteristics. Category A is rather a certain field reaction of the researcher to an intensive period of personal interaction with each of his potential subjects.
researcher, with each subject, be taken to its farthest possible extreme. It is only in this way that the researcher, in whose consciousness the total mosaic of his particular research project exists, can divine in each of his subjects a color, a texture, and a shape, and so assign to that subject